I live in Titusville. We have been here since 2003. I have two children, a second grader and a fifth grader, that attend Oak Park Elementary, and a wonderful husband who owns his own business in Titusville as well. I got both of my degrees from Rollins College in Winter Park. My undergraduate degree is a bachelor's in organizational communication. My master's degree is in corporate communication and technology. And then I actually went on to become a professor at Rollins after I graduated. They asked me to stay around and teach some classes, so I've been there since 2003. I am president of a nonprofit here in Brevard County called Swim Safe Forever, and we do water safety education and drowning prevention. I've been blessed in the time that my children have been in school to be very involved. President of the Oak Park PTO since 2010, I believe. I typically approach decisions rather logically. I'm a thinker, so I tend to take in information and process it and then kind of weigh the pros and the cons and try to make the best decision that I can for all involved. I would like the community to see me as an advocate for our children and our parents and our teachers, as someone that will listen and will work with them to solve the challenges that we see in education, someone that will be a voice for them, not only here at the district level, but also at the state level and the national level, addressing issues in education, which I think is sometimes intimidating to a lot of our community members. And I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what's going on in education as a whole. So I think that'll be beneficial for our community. One thing that I would like to bring to the table with regard to the school board is rebuilding community relationships. I strongly believe that the way that you get something accomplished is to work together. And I feel like there's been a lot of us and them in the past few years through school closures and financial challenges, and I think it's important for us to all come back together and focus on the goal and what we truly are all working toward as successful students. One thing is I want to make sure that I stay very connected with the community. I've talked about potentially doing like rotating town hall meetings where I'm going out and making myself available for people to share their concerns as well as their successes, and meeting them where they are, because I think that's an important thing that we need to do. And educating the community on how they can have a positive impact on education. I was fortunate enough at Oak Park when I started getting involved in PTO there. We had two people that were volunteering for PTO and doing a whole lot of hard work, but they didn't have a lot of people supporting them. And the first year I was blessed to have a wonderful team that I was working with, and we took that organization from two people working very hard to an organization of over 100 volunteers that were operating 17 different committees to meet the needs of our parents and our students and our teachers. And it really came down to talking about, okay, what do we need to accomplish? What's the best way that we can accomplish that? And then getting the right people in place to make that happen. And I think that model works well. When you empower people and you open the doors as opposed to, we have a lot of parents that don't feel comfortable coming into a school. One of the things that I did was, our very first meeting, I picked up the phone and called every parent personally and said, hey, I'd love to see you there. Let's work together to make our school the best it can be. And that's the same type of thing that we have to do at the district, just at a larger scale. I think the value of public education is that everyone has access to it. And I think it's important that we maintain that. I think there's incredible power in the neighborhood school to be a community gatherer and to bring value to a community and focus and pull people together. And I think that tends to lack when we look at private schools and charter schools to some extent, because they tend to not be the neighborhood organization. They tend to not be groups of the same kids, but kids from different areas that come together, and I think that's a big difference. When you look at the development of the world over history, one of the things that we see is that public school has always played a key part of that community. And I think that's the one thing that tends to set public schools apart from other types of schools. And that's why I believe it's so important that we make sure that we maintain our public schools, not only from a facility standpoint, but making sure that we have schools accessible for everyone and that we're helping all of our students to be successful in them. I'm very excited. I think that right now especially we're on the cusp of big changes in education. And I think that over the past few years there's been some perception of despair and, when is this going to get better? We're just facing so many challenges. And I feel like especially now with all of the discussion about you know, looking at the standardized testing and maybe scaling back on some of that and opening up a lot of dialogue, a lot of people getting engaged in education. I think it's a really exciting time for education, and I'm feeling more optimistic than I have in a long time.